Another Monday, another Boss Dogs. What is going on? Mr. Waff.
Hey, what's up, Ross? What's going on? Like you said, another Monday, and we go from boring to exciting real quick in this industry. And here we are again, swinging back and forth between boring and exciting yet again.
No kidding, dude. I think we're in your range of the Bitcoin price action. I gotta pull it up for this morning. Yes, sir. We broke the 63 just barely there. It looks like we're at 63,438. So we're already off to a hot start. I know Bitcoin briefly was at 65K over the weekend, which is pretty exciting, man. And, we'll get into it. We got a shorter episode this week, but Natcat's picking up some steam. Ordinal's picking up some steam. I mean, talk about a good dip buy opportunity, man. I think puppets are up like 0.03 from the floor. So are node monkeys. Just a lot of money to be had. Not sure if everyone was making money just because it's tough to buy the dip, but things are heating up. I think that is very clear.
Yeah, once the macro aligns, then these other things fall into place. So last week we did our show and Bitcoin was about 59,000. And like you said, we hit 65 over the weekend and we're back down to 63 and a half or so. So we're up like 7%. And that really all stemmed from Powell being very dovish in his remarks, right? And I think we know that September rate cut is coming, but not only that, he was just extremely dovish, and that just sent risk asset prices up. And I think that's really what's attributing to this. I'm going to call it a melt up, right? This is a melt up, and here we are sitting in the final week of the unofficial summer, right? Where people are probably still on holiday, still on vacation. We got the Labor Day weekend coming up this next weekend, next week on Monday. So what I foresee happening is sort of like this slow cook. Like we're in the preheating phase of the oven right now. We're gathering our ingredients. We're putting together our recipes and stuff this week. Next week we'll start really heating up, and then the week after we get fractal. So I just think things are lining up for some really bullish action in the market.
I love it, Waff. I think that's a great prediction there. And I mean, it is crazy how, Powell just having dovish sentiment can send the markets higher. We've seen that plenty of times. And I think just based on seasonality, we sold off a little bit. We have a huge event in 2 days with your birthday coming up, as well as NVIDIA earnings. So it's going to be really interesting to see, is the market going to positively or negatively move there? I think if we have a bad earnings report, we could go a little bit lower. But I definitely see a situation where we might be going higher on the dovish sentiment. It might be something where the rate cut is already priced in. And when that actually happens, I wouldn't be surprised if the market sold off a little bit, maybe sells off a little bit as well after post election. But then I could really see a nice Santa Claus rally here. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see some of that big correction that people talk about until 2025. But keeping it ordinals, keeping it Bitcoin related, dude. I think you've nailed it with fractals. I've just seen so much sentiment, people hyping it up, people talking about it. And I hope it's just the new macro moving forward. They definitely had a lot of people trading Tron over the past couple of weeks. There was a lot of money to be made there, but you can already see it's sort of, wouldn't say cooling off, but the front runners have stayed pretty stagnant, at least over the past couple of days. So I really think that if we can get a lot of people making money with fractals, that could just spark a bull run, return to ordinals, return to runes. Because if fractals do well, then people are going to be looking at those beta plays, and we have a ton of runes and a ton of ordinals that are priced lower than people thought they'd ever get to again. So here we are. I think there's a lot of great opportunities. All we need is some attention in Bitcoin sphere.
A couple of weeks after Fractal, we'll get the TAP protocol program implementation as well. So just a few things lined up to be bullish on ordinals, man. Like you said, these floors all have rebounded, and it's hard to buy these floors when they're down bad, but now they're looking pretty good. There's one ordinal I want to kind of highlight related to Fractal, and last week it was Domo Ducks. and I think they're still looking pretty solid, like similar to a 0.03 floor right now. But take a look at Uniworld's Key of Destiny. It's sort of like a gaming infrastructure on Fractal, and they're going to be sort of like the first project on there. Currently trading at 0.005. I think the collection size is like 18,000 with under 400 listed at the moment. It's sort of like almost like a runestone type of population to percentage listed at the moment, but that could be a good one. And then, like I said last week, I was just looking at pretty much anything fractal related, where you mint a rune or you buy an ordinal and it gets you some type of fractal allocation. I'm still on the lookout for those projects. I think many of them are coming up this week. And I know JD hit us with the schedule as always. We got that we can share, but just a lot of things to look forward to this week and next week.
Well said, Waf, and great call on those projects. Shout out to JD who just hopped in, man. We're going to share your list shortly. Always appreciate it. But yeah, dude, I think the fractal hype is real, and I definitely love the play to get anything fractal wise. Because we just saw it with pre-runes. We shouted this out the past couple episodes, but leading up to runes, there was just a huge spark in demand as it got closer and closer. We saw stuff like runestones heat up and reach really great floors. So in terms of risk reward, hopping in some of this fractal stuff, getting in, I personally am going to be someone who sells out before fractals goes live. Maybe I'll hold one or two if the cost basis is, in my favor. But I really do think that as we get closer to fractals, more people are going to speculate and FOMO in. Usually with those kinds of things, people start to FOMO as the markets go higher. So it just goes higher and higher. And then fractals launch, and sometimes it doesn't live up to the hype. It might. But I think it's just a really great play leading up to it to ride that FOMO wave, ride that hype, and get in. So great shout out there. I'm definitely going to have to check that collection out.
Yeah, the other thing I saw that people were talking about, and I was on vacation, so I kind of kept my ear to the ground, like just sparingly here and there. But I know Bell's coin kind of seems to have made a move, and now they're gonna have inscriptions on it. Not sure if you're familiar with that blockchain at all, but pretty much it was sort of like the initial coin that the Doge creator created before he created Doge, and then he sort of just abandoned it. And then Adam McBride, his NFT archaeologist, pretty much rediscovered it, and then people started mining it probably about close to a year ago, maybe less. And it seems to have come back. It's got like a 50 million market cap now currently. And now, inscriptions and I guess ordinal equivalents are coming to Bell's. Bellcoin is the name of the coin, that blockchain. So that's semi-interesting. It might have run maybe a bit too much already, but that's also out there in like the Bitcoin, ecosphere, and people are talking about that one as well.
Yeah, I did see the field report that someone put up on Bell there, and let me just make sure I can give them their credit there. That is by Pepe.eth, the oldest meme coin created by Doge developer. They posted that 4 days ago, and absolutely familiar with Bell's. Shout out to Animal Crossing for those familiar. It's the same logo and same name. That's the currency in the game, so that's pretty fun. But yeah, I think that's a great shout out there. I was definitely trying to get some. I think I was made aware of Bell's maybe 5 or 6 months ago, but just kind of forgot about it in the midst of ordinals and runes that had my full attention. But still at 50 million, it's a pretty low market cap. And, I think in crypto, a lot of the times it ends up being about comps and just comparing it to other things in the market. If you look at the market cap of Doge, which is in the billions, Bell's by the same developer and sort of an OG meme at only 50 million is pretty cheap. Obviously, you need to bridge and get onto their network, which is, it's not very complicated based on the field report. I'm a little skeptical about sort of shitcoining on Bells with inscriptions and stuff. While I'm sure people will be doing it, and I'm sure some people will make money, I just remember when people were trading Doge ordinals, a few months to a year ago, And there was definitely some money to be made, but the network was pretty slow. It was kind of janky. So my main thought, if this is the pre-Doge network, there's not going to be a ton of people supporting it. I could see things hyping up for maybe a week or so, but I mean, now would probably be a good time to get into that, or once inscriptions go live, getting some of the starting point. But I just don't really see that sustaining super well as a marketplace. So if I were to play that, me personally at least, everyone do what's best for you. I would probably just try to get some exposure to Bell straight up. I definitely do think there's some sort of narrative there because, look at something like Pepe or Doge. People don't really use it for much. I know there are use cases on Doge of people building. I think the general sentiment is most people are not using that chain. Same with Pepe. I'm sure there's some use cases for the actual Pepe token, but let's say 90 to 95% of the traffic there, it's just speculation and holding it. So I think it's a great speculative play. I really love the shout out there, and I'm definitely going to look into some of the inscriptions, but I think personally just buying it and holding would probably be my preferred vehicle to trade that.
I completely agree with you. Like, I have no interest in any inscription or ordinal on Bell's coin or the blockchain, because if you see what I just dropped in VC chat, this collection M Bells came out last year in August. This was when people, you couldn't get Bell's coins anywhere, right? You had to literally mine them, or someone had to send it to your wallet to get them. They weren't on any centralized exchange, and Emblem Vault, I guess, came out with this, this M Bells, these NFTs that were in Emblem Vault, but were minted on the Bells chain blockchain, apparently, whatever. And look, these things are worthless, right? And so, like, why would an inscription now be worth anything? It's like, I don't know why. So I just feel like we missed that hype train already, in my opinion. I think that thing's just going straight down, but I guess we'll see. But some people have made some money on it, so it's worth mentioning.
Yeah, no, definitely appreciate you mentioning. But I mean, still, I think Bell's at 50 million is a pretty decent buy. Just looking at even if it goes to 500 million or 200 million, it's got a great potential to 5 to 20x here. I could certainly see something like this competing with some memes, just given that it's a part of crypto history. The fact that it's the Doge developer and it's pre-Doge, I could see a lot of people speculating into that. And then, you can always count on, if something heats up, getting listed on other exchanges. So if we see something where, hey, now Bells is available to trade on, let's say, Coinbase, I could really see that heating up. I'm not sure how that works legally with the same logo and title of a game that's owned by Nintendo. Maybe that's why he abandoned and went to Doge or something, but who knows? It's the wild, wild west in crypto. So I definitely think it's a decent play and not the most risky thing I've seen at 50 million.
Yeah, that is very true. 50 million is not huge for a meme coin, but this is like a blockchain by itself, and it's just the barriers to entry, like the things that we talk about, runes, and how sometimes it's hard to trade for like a Solana person or BRC20s for that matter. I think this takes the difficulty level to up a notch, even, so that this is like going to be very illiquid, very hard to trade because it's its own blockchain, and there's really no marketplaces built or anything like that on the Bells blockchain. And basically, you're just going to be trading through centralized exchanges if you want to trade this, right? So that's kind of like my issue with it. And the thing has run already. It's already run. I don't know what it's trading at today. I know it's like over $1. I know it's probably up, maybe like 100% in the last 7 days. So even at 50 million, it's low, but at the same time, it's difficult. But for a blockchain, yes, absolutely. $50 million for a blockchain is basically, free.
Yeah, absolutely. But great shout out, to Pepe there and MVHQ for calling that out. That was a great play. Definitely wish I scooped a little bit sooner. I mean, I heard people talking about Bells a long time ago. I just never really dug into it.
Yeah, it's funny because it's actually over a year ago. The fact that this came out a year ago, then, when people rediscovered it, it's probably like a year and a few months by now.
That's crazy, dude. Yeah, I mean, stuff like that. It's just a short simmer. It really can heat up. So that's awesome. So I just posted in VC chat. JD hooked us up. As always, throw JD a bless. I just posted that in voice hangout chat, but he gave us the drops on ordinals for this week. Looks like there's 3 things coming out tomorrow, all very exciting. We got the MVHQ Ordinal Hive mission ending on Wednesday there. Happy birthday, WAF. Another drop on Wednesday, and then 2 more drops on the 29th. So a jam-packed week. It could be a good time to start looking into some of these mints again as we do get hyped up for fractals, especially with Bitcoin going up. I think things take time, but if you can catch the right combination of hype drop, good supply, and good decent narrative, some of these things can go ham off mint. So always worth looking into the mints.
Agreed. I think this is the time to pay attention again. A little bit of hype, I want to say, for tomorrow's mints. Something Mint and Goodfellas for sure. Sunken OX drop, I'm actually not entirely familiar with, but it looks like glitch codes. Then we got our mission ending on my birthday, the 28th, on the NVIDIA earnings date. Should be a big day. Function drop, I'm not too familiar with that one, to be honest. Pixel packets, actually pretty interesting. So I think if I were to rank these upcoming drops, I'd probably put Something Mint, Pixel packets, and then Goodfellas sort of like in my top 3. But that's just my personal opinion. You got anything to say on those, Ross?
Yeah, I think I put it the same ranking. It's always interesting because like these projects seem like they're doing something cool, particularly Goodfellas. I'm not entirely sure what they have planned. I will say their art looks very, very similar to Mad Lads, which might not be a good thing. But they're saying a story will be told, and they sort of have a physical item accompanying this launch promo. So I thought that was pretty cool. If they actually sell those, I could certainly see people getting those for the right price. I mean, we kind of take for granted sometimes, but like literally 0.01 Bitcoin is $640. So it looks like they have sort of a Polaroid or a printout of what you mint in a plastic case for $600, right? You could absolutely make something like that happen. Looks like maybe they're teasing some music there as well. So not fully sure what to expect. But the real world asset narrative has been kind of mentioned a few times over the course of this year. And, it could be the one. I don't think it will be because I don't think the market conditions are quite there yet, but it's very interesting. I also think the Sunken OX drop with that glitch art is usually pretty appealing to some Bitcoin OGs. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And it's easier to extract when the market's hot, right? You could set a high mint price, and people are willing to gamble. I say a little bit more, but when people are still being cautious and careful, you're not gonna be able to extract like that kind of mint price in periods like now, in my opinion. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. But shout out to JD nonetheless for getting these. I mean, I'm telling you guys, it's just a matter of timing, right? Like JD does an amazing job of just gathering this for us every single week. And we've seen in every single bear, it's always the one project that launches and then the rest follow. Think about Fanta Bears a few years ago on New Year's Eve. They go crazy and went up to like an 80th floor or something like that. So it's always worth paying attention to some of these drops because you never know when you're going to hit the big one. And then that can catapult the rest of the space. Speaking of hitting the big one, I did want to bring up, WAF, just circling back to ordinals. I saw over the weekend the price of blobs is abysmal. It's like 0.004. At one point, they were 0.12 plus. What do you think about that? Blob's a pretty notable launch. They bought the epic sat. I don't know if they just, tanked themselves by doing a little too much with it. But I was even debating scooping a couple here. It seems like a pretty good risk reward just given how big they were.
I don't follow that project too much. I still hold 2 of them, but you're right. That's a very low price. And see, like that's why people could start like speculating now, right? You could look at something beat up, know that it was hot previously, and just look at the price and like just start steadily accumulating some of that. And then next thing you know, people start looking at the sales over a 24-hour period, over a 7-day period. And next thing you know, people start FOMOing in. And that's kind of how things start, right? And I think that could be one to look at. I mean, even like its all-time volume at like 447 Bitcoin is pretty respectable. It's not nothing to sneeze at. So I like that call.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, definitely. I definitely think we're gonna start seeing some beta plays pretty soon. Whether it's Bitcoin that leads the charge or fractals, I'm definitely expecting some kind of rotation. It just seems like the market always goes cyclically. So, I do think that we're going to start to see a little bit of trickle into some of these Bitcoin names at some point. Hard to time this market, just a ton of chop, but definitely think at some point we're going to have a tide raising all the ships. So definitely want to get positioned before that happens.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, um, did you pick up any Domo ducks by any chance?
I did not. That's only because I was traveling this past weekend. I definitely wanted to. I probably will. I'm going to look at that and then the Universe Project or the Galaxy. But yeah, I definitely need to get into position for some fractals here coming up. I think it's going to be all the rage for a little bit. Look at that one, dude. Is that yours?
Dude, I picked this one up today off the floor for a
That's
point zero
insane.
nine.
That is awesome, dude. Yeah, I mean, they look awesome. I think it just matches that pixel art, but it's super fun. I really like them, so I could totally see those doing well. And I think just the narrative leading into fractal season is perfect.
Yeah, I was like in their Discord today, and I seen some familiar faces in there. I think I'm gonna try and add a few more on some dips. And again, I think as long as the Bitcoin price dips and we get like sort of just like a down day in the market, you're just gonna get a sale on everything, ordinal related or rune related. It's just all so correlated at the moment. So I'm just gonna buy on red days and like on green days, I'm just gonna like leave it alone because there's always gonna be a red day coming, and then you just if you have a shopping list, just buy on the red day.
Yeah, I completely agree, Waf. I mean, it really is just range bound. That's kind of what I've been doing with, shit coins. I've talked to you about just sort of scalping and playing short on some of these things. Just kind of fade the edges there. I definitely think at some point it's going to blow through, but until then, I don't think there's any reason to hurry in to buy or sell anything. Just kind of wait and wait for the market to come to you a little bit. But certainly with this low supply, I think people could FOMO pretty quickly. It's got pretty nice distribution there. So definitely a great play on the Domo Ducks. And could you remind me, what is the estimated airdrop for these guys? Because I think the key is as long as the math is mathing there, these should probably catch up to that expected airdrop.
So like assuming a market cap of between 3 and 4 million, they're like about 2,000 each. So if that is the case, I'm pretty much pick this one up at like fair value.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great play, right? If each Domo Duck is worth about 2 grand, right now at about 0.03, we're looking at about value there. I know when you mentioned them last week, they're about half the price, so definitely a great smash on that. But that's assuming these go straight to zero. A lot of these founders, they have some extra value. We definitely saw with rune stones, they maintained a floor even after the airdrop. So certainly with Domo Ducks, I'm sure the price is going to get a hit, but I don't think it's going to go straight to zero. So even if you can sell them for 0.005, and that's again with just an assumed value of a $3 to $4 million airdrop. That is puny compared to some rune market caps that exist. So I wouldn't be surprised if it does a little bit better for you. I'm excited to see that play out.
There's people that are up like 4 or 5x even at these prices. So if you're interested in getting one, like just keep an eye out on the floor, and someone might drop something that's kind of rare on the floor because to them it's still like a 4 or 5x. And you might be able to snag one that's like pretty much worth way more than the floor at floor. And basically that's kind of like what I did with this one. I didn't see any crowns listed. The next Bitcoin sunglasses was like 0.036. I was like, you know what? I gotta buy it. So I did. And like I've been looking at other collections pretty much for similar type of things where like the traits that are on the floor don't really, match up with what their other price of the remaining ones are. So like Nat Cats, for example, Nat Cats, there was like a bunch of laser eyes on the floor a week ago, and one guy swept them all up, and now pretty much like actually the floor price caught up to what he paid for the laser price on the laser eyes. So now his lasers are probably worth like 2x the floor. It's just a smart play. And you see that happening all the time. People pick up like rares, mid rares on a collection with the momentum of the floor moving up, and then the floor catches up to like their price point, and now they're sitting on break even from a floor perspective, but also up in because they bought a rare.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Nat Cats is, I would say, like the king of that type of price listing. Same thing with puppets. People mislisted traits all the time. Maybe not like a hoodie or anything that crazy, but you can get rare traits. Vanilla Goblet is the one that I know all too well. That and Mog glasses. People drop that at the floor all the time, and those pay big premiums when prices are rising. While we were mentioning Nat Cats, definitely want to shout out here that WAF has arranged for a Twitter AMA with the founder of Natcats, EV. That's tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitter. We're going to post a reminder link tomorrow on Twitter, but we just made a post today. Huge shout out to WAF. Throw him a bless. He arranged that whole thing. EV does not do a ton of AMAs or Twitter spaces, so just getting him is remarkable. But apparently there's very exciting mechanic that he's going to be announcing tomorrow. So tune in for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But huge shout out to you, WAF. Really appreciate you hooking that up. That's going to be awesome.
No, dude, appreciate it. I think it's going to be a great show. I mean, just knowing like about what block drops are coming and like how that mechanic is going to work and what it means moving forward and how Tap Protocol is going through an upgrade to allow for like bitmaps to be block drop enabled as well. I just think it's big technical innovations in the Bitcoin space, and we get to speak to the founder about it. And a lot of us here are also Natcat holders, and we're gonna get drops, and I think it's pretty cool how you don't necessarily have to claim it right away. I want to see what the mechanism is in place for how to search for Natcat and know if it has any block drops that have not been claimed on it. Like, I wonder if there's going to be like a user interface for that. Like, there's going to be like a ton of alpha, I want to say, in that show. And definitely tune in if you want to know how that stuff works, how all the mechanics of that stuff works.
Yeah, great shout there. I mean, there's definitely going to be some of that. We saw that all too well with Bored Apes and their coin claim, as well as some other projects with similar stuff. So it's going to be super cool, but always great talking to a founder. Evie's a really bright guy and super down to earth too. I mean, he's just really chill. So I'm looking forward to that, WAF. That's going to be great. Day before your birthday and then big celebration the day after. So that's going to be awesome. For those of you joining late, this is going to be a shorter episode of BossDawgs than normal. I'll throw it over to WAF. He can definitely keep it going if needed. But WAF, just to wrap up here, let's talk quickly about Bitcoin price projections for next week. You sort of started this game, and I love to play it. You think we're going higher or lower than 63,000 1 week from now? Price predictions.
All right, so it will be Labor Day, right? So there could be some market shenanigans. So I'm going to say that we stay pretty much even. So I'm going to say no price change over the week by the time we reconvene on... Actually, I take it back. We're going to convene on Tuesday, right? So I'm going to go 65K again. I'll go 65K.
I love it. I was going to say, I was ready to play the high this time because I usually go low, but I will also meet you there at 65K. I think we're going to hit 67K over the next 7 days, have a nice long holiday weekend with some excitement, and then I think we'll cool between 64 and 65 for next episode of BossDawgs.
All right, well, I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope we see 67, 68. That'll be really hot, because then we'll be heading into the fractal narrative with Bitcoin on the high. And I just think that's going to create a lot of FOMO and a lot of intensity, and people are going to be just throwing, money here and there all around, just trying to get in on the action.
I completely agree. I think it's going to be great. It could be the perfect storm. One final shout, just a lot of ordinal collections are going back. And we've talked about this a lot. There's a lot of good plays if you're willing to take the conviction. I saw yesterday Pizza Ninjas at 0.01. We're back up to 0.132. So even in 1 day, you can make some really solid flips. It's an $1,800 to $2,000 profit for whoever played that action there. Same thing with Bitcoin puppets. They were down at 0.07 back to 0.1. So there's money to be made on these ordinals, even in the bear market. It really is just about risk tolerance and finding the right collections. But I mean, we're getting close, WAF. I think the bottom is nearly in here.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like you can still continue to play that. Node Monkeys at 0.15. I think it's building some momentum. So that would not surprise me to see that in the 0.2 range within a week or two. And when I look back at some of those sweeps that occurred in the past where people just swept a ton with the conviction, I can't recall the prices, but like it's going to be looking pretty good if you swept during the bear, right? And I remember Node Monkeys had some notable sweeps. I just don't recall if they were at this level or a little bit higher, but these sweeps during the bear could always be profitable.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate it as always, Waf. Thank you just for being so informed for these, and thanks for being flexible with the short show today. Catch us tomorrow, guys, 6 p.m. Eastern. Again, big shout out to Waf. Throw him some blesses. He just goes above and beyond getting in the know on this Bitcoin Alpha. So really appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow, Waf, for an awesome AMA. Until then, stay safe and have a great week, everybody.
Later, Ross.
You dude.